Oh, God. Oh, God. 3 explosives. Oh, no! Here they go! What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. Yes, we are indeed talking the 10.1 Mythic Plus Affixes, the 3 new ones that got added, and then the change to Explosive, which I will talk about first. I'm gonna show you all the clips of what I did into Mythic Plus. Just keep in mind, the dungeons were a plus 10. We were just trying to try out the affixes and not really have too much of a challenge, but let's just dive right into the footage. I'm going to go one by one through the affixes and talk about what I think is a problem with them and what I think is good about them. What do we need to solve? All that kind of stuff. The TLDR in this video is going to be that I think the affixes are in a good place, actually. They just need some tweaking. Some of them need a little bit more help than others, but ultimately they're actually in a pretty good place. Let's start with Explosive. This is the opening clip of the dungeon that we ran. So you can see the explosives are a lot bigger, right? To start with, they're really, really big. We pulled a triple pack here. So we pulled 3 and 3 and 3. So it's like 9, maybe 10 mobs altogether. And that gave us 2 explosives. I think that it's going to be 1 explosive per 5 mobs. I don't know what the ratio is. This is my guess, but you can see it's not dying at all. It has almost 200,000 health. 200,000 health. This is only a plus 10. Keep in mind, like, a plus 10 in Season 2 is like a plus 14 right now, but this has 200,000 health. We can't kill it. They're so big. What the hell? Like, we can't kill this thing. We have Incorporeal spawning as well. That's not going to happen in a real dungeon, but watch this. Oh my god, there's 2 more. Like, 2 more just spawned. They're so tanky, dude. Like, in the span of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. In a 20-second period, 4 explosives have spawned. We haven't been able to kill any of them. Our healer is just healing through it. Oh my god, there's 2 more! Like, they're so tanky, dude. They're way, way too tanky. So here's my first bit of feedback would be these things need to lose 50 to 60% of the amount of health that they have now. Probably even more. Probably like 75%. They need to go from 200k at a level 10 down to like 40k, maybe at the most. I don't mind a mechanic where the idea behind it is to get the entire group to turn and burn the explosive. I think that's actually a really cool idea, but we were not able to. There were other parts in the dungeon where we all tried to turn and burn the explosive, and we literally couldn't do it, even if we were trying our hardest. So I think explosive, first of all, the spawn rate probably needs to go down, and most definitely the health pool needs to go way down. Otherwise, I don't mind this. I don't mind less explosive spawning, and they're bigger and maybe more dangerous. I think that's fine. But the health pool is completely absurd. It's really stupid. And, like, right now, what a lot of people were talking about is, like, well, you're just going to have to let them go off, and your healer's going to have to deal with it. That is not Blizzard's intention with this mechanic. Their intention is for you to have a way to deal with it. And right now, there is no way to deal with it. So, explosive, way too tanky. They're spawning too many of them. It's not a good mechanic in that way. So just small tweaks need to be made. The mechanic's fine. It's just the health needs to be dramatically dropped and maybe the spawn rate reduced a little bit. Let's move on to Entangling. This was something people were really, really anxious about. I ran an underwrought dungeon here, and we ran Spiteful plus Entangling, which is probably the most feared combination that people were worried about, was Spiteful and Entangling put together. This was just us testing it just for fun. My first bit of feedback on Entangling is that you can't see. It's literally already happened on screen. I have no idea it's even happened. I'm just pressing freedom because I felt myself get slowed. But realistically, it's impossible to see this happen. The visuals on Entangling are awful. You're going to need a weak aura or a DBM sort of thing to show you that you have, in fact, got it. Entangling happens again, like, right here, I think? Okay, Let me see here. It happens in a minute. Here it is. Okay, it's happened right now. Literally, nothing happened on my screen. There's no indication. Nothing's like with explosive spawn. With incorporeal ad spawn. With afflicted ad spawn. With entangling, a little plant grows under your feet and you can't even see it. You can see on all the raid frames we have a little barb on our bars. That means that we have it on our feet. But I can't really tell. Half the time I couldn't tell if the mobs were slowing me or if the entangling was slowing me. I didn't even know it had happened. Okay? There's a better example coming up where it's very obvious that it's happened here.
Like, maybe Deadly Boss Mod will tell you.
Yeah, it'll have to be. So right here, this final
That would be great if it
packer, you'll get to see it really clearly. There it is. A little vine sprouts right under my feet, right here. You see that little plant there? And then there's a vine attached to me. You can see that? Isn't it ridiculous how, like, in the middle of a mob, when I have consecration down, there's shields flying everywhere, there's ground effects from other classes, you can't see this thing. So Blizzard needs to fix either the visual of it, or we're going to have a weak or a Deadly Boss Mod thing that tells us, hey, by the way, entangling is hitting you right now. Encouraging notes about tangling, though. Freedom breaks it. Tiger Lust breaks it. Anything that can break a slow or a snare or a root will break this effect, as I was saying in my other video. So that is confirmed. That does work, and you'll be able to break it. That means I don't think this is a deadly mechanic. Remember, this doesn't do any extra damage to you. It just slows you down. So if we have a better visual understanding of when it's coming and when it's happened, then I think this mechanic will be perfectly fine. You're going to use your crowd or your snare breaking abilities, your Blessing of Freedom, your Spirit Walk, even just roaring, like a druid roaring and you running away, you blinking away, you dashing away, getting away from the vine will also break it. So this is not going to be an issue whatsoever. I think it's a perfectly fine mechanic that way. It just needs a better visual representation. Here is Afflicted. These are the mobs that require a dispel. You can see they very clearly spawn on your screen, which is really, really good. This is wonderful from the devs. You want it to be clear, crystal clear that these mobs are spawning. The monk already dealt with that last one. Here comes the next set of afflicted mobs. You can see 2 of them can spawn at a time, and actually 3 of them can spawn at a time. We weren't really sure what caused more to spawn, because 2 of them spawned on a boss fight. It wasn't pack size related. But you can see they have their debuffs. They've got a poison, a disease, and a curse debuff on them. So there's multiple ways to deal with them. The healer can heal them. Anybody can dispel them with a curse or a poison or a disease dispel. Sorry, my brain's tripping out right now. The healer in this case decides to just heal them up.
You can see the 2 afflicted right at the same time.
You can see the health bars going up.
Looks like he's gonna
Boom.
AoE them both. Oh, that's
Boom.
cool.
There we go. The last one's about to get its cast off, and he gets it at the very end. Boom.
Nice.
And interrupts it. So you either heal them to full,
So he got 2 of them at the
or
same time
you
there.
hit them
That's
with the
pretty cool.
dispel, which is super cool. I'm going to show you another clip here right now where he gets 3 of them all by himself. All 3 of them spawn. So I think it could be related to pack size.
2 of them going
They
right
probably get more, but anyway, here's 3 of them at the exact same time. And he told me in advance, he said, don't help me. I want to try and get these on my own. So watch the monk.
He's just healing them up.
He dispels one of them right away.
He dispelled 1. He's AoE healing 2 of them down.
Boom, boom,
There you go, right?
boom. He gets it up. So
Good. He just did all 3 of them by himself.
So it is possible for you to do all 3 of them by yourself as a healer. And I think that's really important to say, because there's going to be compositions that don't have extra bodies to be able to dispel. If you're running like with a hunter and a blood death knight and a warrior and maybe a demon hunter, I don't think any of those classes have any way of dealing with it. So every healer in the game can deal with it. Every single healer in the game has a poison, disease, or curse effect they can get rid of. So it's encouraging to me to see that the monk just did this all by himself. He did it mostly with healing, but he dispelled one of them as well. So
there you go, right?
encouraging to know that. I don't know how this scales with key difficulty. If it requires more healing, we're going to have to just wait and see. But cool to see that the monk just did it all on his own there. Okay, so that was an important note there. Let's move on. We're going to move on to Incorporeal. This is the mob that you have to kick. I apologize for the volume on my mic. It was messed up in this recording. Incorporeal mobs have this little arcane thing. So the Afflicted mobs have that kind of white haze that comes down. This is the arcane thing coming down, they tended to spawn in pairs, which was really frustrating. And just off the cuff, like, this mechanic was by far the most frustrating to deal with of the three. It's not even close, actually. You have to basically kick them or stun them or in-cap them. They're susceptible to all forms of CC, but my AoE blinding light was not working. So that was really frustrating. I tried multiple times. And one thing that became abundantly clear to me when I was trying to deal with the incorporeal mobs is that in Mythic Plus dungeons, there's a lot of other dispels going off of these. So this guy's Hideous Cackle, that is a priority kick right there. You can't stun this mob that's doing Hideous Cackle. You must kick it. So if you waste your kick on the incorporeal mob, then you're going to get feared like we just did right there. So this is a very clear, obvious problem to me. And this mechanic is much more frustrating, much more deadly than the other one. We're just finishing up dealing with this last incorporeal mob. Another Hideous Cackle's going off. And then, boom, in the background, 2 more of them were spawning. We just used all of our CC. I don't have any more. Like, so this is a little bit silly to me. The spawn rate of the incorporeal guys is way too high, in my opinion. And it became very frustrating when we're trying to kick Earth Bolt. We're trying to kick Decay Surge. There's so many other priority kicks that need to happen. Wither Bolt is going off. There's all kinds of things. Now this guy spawns, and now we have to deal with him. So this destabilize, if this goes off, it reduces your damage and healing by 50%. By the way, the afflicted mobs, the ones that you have to dispel, the monk was dispelling, if that cast gets off, you lose 100% of your haste. It went off one time in our dungeon. I had negative 37% haste. So the afflicted guys reduce your haste. The incorporeal guys, the kick guys, they reduce your damage and healing. So to me, this mechanic is by far the most deadly, the most frustrating, and I think needs the most tuning. Here's my immediate sort of napkin math solution to this problem. These guys last for 20 seconds, and they have an 8-second cast. So you have to wait. Ideally, you want to wait to the very end of their cast, and then you kick them. Then you wait to the very end of the next cast, and then you kick them. And then you only have to kick them, like, twice, like, maybe 3 times, right, over the course of their lifetime. It's still incredibly frustrating and worrying to have these guys in here. And what I think they should do is I think they should change this so that each one of these destabilizing mobs, when they spawn, they only require 2 kicks and then they disappear. Instead of them lasting for 20 seconds, I would like them to only have to require 2 kicks per mob and then they disappear entirely. So you could, like, kick and stun one. You could AoE in-cap them, or like AoE blinding light and then stun one, AoE blinding light and kick one. You could displace one with a druid. I think things like displacement work. Like maybe Ring of Peace works. I'm not entirely sure about that. But AoE stuns, like a shaman could do a cap totem. And the cap totem would go off twice. And that would delete both of them. There needs to be, I think, a system in place where you kick them twice. Or you kick/stun them twice, and then they disappear. I feel like that would still make the mechanic challenging, because it would still tax your CC abilities, but it wouldn't have this 20-second window of time where you're, like, waiting and, like, worried about it and having to, like, it takes too much brain power, because there's so many other things you want to kick, like Decay Strike and Earth Bolt and cackling whatever that guy does. Like, it's very frustrating, and it became really, really noticeable to me in the Brackenhide Hallow dungeon that there were so many other priority kicks we needed to get. It was really frustrating. So Incorporeal, by far the most frustrating mechanic. Let me just run through them all again. Explosive is fine. It needs to spawn a little bit less, and the health needs to be reduced by like 75% probably. Entangling is fine. The effects are all fine. It needs to be more visually obvious that it's happening. Or you're just going to have DBM or a weak aura that tells you when it's happening, and then you can deal with it with things like Freedom, Tiger Lust, Spirit Walk, all those really cool tools that you can use. Afflicted, by far the easiest mechanic, for sure. Afflicted was super easy, was not a problem at all. Healers can definitely deal with 3 afflicted mobs all on their own, so that was very encouraging to see. Even if you have a group that the composition doesn't have any extra kicks, dispels for you, you're still good to go. You could do it on your own as a healer. That felt very, very good. Afflicted was probably the best mechanic, actually. The most fleshed out mechanic. The least fleshed out mechanic, in my opinion, is Incorporeal, where these things are spawning way too much, and the 20-second window is really bad. I think we should just make it so you have to kick them each twice. I feel like that would still tax your kicks in an effective way, but it would give you very obvious tools to deal with it. Your cap totem that goes off twice, you know, a monk doing an AoE stun into a kick, AoE in caps, all those kinds of tools. You can still use all of those, and they would deal effectively with the Incorporeal mobs without having that 20-second window weighing you down. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think about these affixes? Do they look okay to you? Are you terrified? I think they're all in a good place. They just need some tweaking, and they'll be in a great place. That's where I think we're at. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I love you guys. Thank you so much again for watching. I'll see you in the next one.